It's time to stop! It's time to stop, okay? No more! Where the fuck are your parents? Who are your parents?
Looks like we're talking about Magic Man today. Now, Magic Man is definitely a crucial part of the Adventure Time story, especially considering he is directly involved in its ending. However, before we go into anything major, let's start off simple with his appearance. Now, typically Magic Man wears a tattered yellow shirt along with yellow pants and mismatched boots. He also sports green skin, white blank eyes, as well as a very interesting hat with a blue ribbon. Now, though he actually looks pretty weird by typical human standards, by Martian standards, he actually looks pretty typical aside from a little bit more color in terms of what he wears. Regardless of his fashion choice, one thing that should not be undermined would actually be his importance to the story. You see, his cosmic importance is incredibly high due to the fact that he is the biological brother of the deity Glob. On top of being the biological brother of Glob, he was also one of the co-rulers of Mars, being one of the main individuals who allowed the society to grow as well as it did. Now, whether or not he was actually born with his magical affinity is unknown, however, I would actually believe it considering, again, his older brother is a literal deity. Another thing that is actually incredibly important to his character would be the fact that he is a golb survivor. Now, I mentioned this within my previous video talking about Glob, but I'll go into further detail here. You see, more than 200 years prior to the main story, Golb would actually attack Mars. And again, if you aren't familiar with Golb, he is the literal incarnation of chaos and entropy. Now, when Golb attacked, one of the main things that actually happens is that he kills a lot of Martians. However, he would specifically erase Margles, who was Magic Man's wife. Now, as you would imagine, this particular event would scar Magic Man, as he would become completely obsessed with trying to get Margles back. He would actually explore every single death world that existed just in order to find her soul. When that didn't work, he personally hunted down Prismo just to see if he could wish her back into existence. And when that had no effect, he even began looking into other timelines and dimensions, again to no avail. Left with no other options, he would continuously try to increase his own magical powers in order for him to somehow bring Margles back. Now, all this would actually culminate into him creating a very powerful defense system against Golb, which he would dub Margles. However, for the weapon, this is actually an acronym, with it standing for Magical Automated Resistance Generating Laser Energy Supplier. This weapon would have, supposedly, given them enough power to actually somewhat restrain or somewhat restrict the amount of damage that Golb would have done if he were to ever return. Here's where the problem lies. He ended up making the weapon look exactly like his dead wife, and because of this, he began to see her as if it were his actual wife. So he tried spending time with it, trying to stop it from doing what it was literally built to do, and this would actually cause it to activate, causing a conflict between him and Margles. Now, as you would imagine, considering she is completely made up of his own magic, he would end up getting the upper hand. This would end with the destruction of the Margles super weapon after it falls into the volcano, which Magic Man would watch personally. And as you would imagine, watching the image of your wife slowly melt in a pool full of lava isn't exactly great for your mental health, as this event would not only traumatize Magic Man, but would completely break him. After this event, he would completely give up on life, as well as caring about other individuals, and as such would commit war crimes against his own people, such as fusing the hands of millions of people all at the same time, removing all the water off the planet and then immediately turning it into hair, and if you actually were to drink the hair, it would make you go bald, as well as magically binding every single individual on the entire planet and then running them over with a bus for an entire day. Now, these crimes would eventually get him sent to Oo, where he would be sent there until he learned exactly how to care about other people again, even giving him a teleporter which would have allowed him to come home at any time by simply thinking about positive thoughts about other individuals. However, he would never actually figure this out, as every single person he interacted with, he would immediately try to make them suffer. Now, it should be noted that although he is responsible for all of these atrocities, he is actually not entirely at fault here. You see, in the Adventure Time universe, one thing that remains a continuous constant is that magic users suffer from three things, which is magic, madness, and sadness. What this basically means is that the sadder you are, or the madder you are, the more magic you actually have access to. And the opposite is true as well, as the more magic you have access to, the greater your sadness and madness. Basically, after he reached his breaking point, his magic pretty much consumed him, making him one of the most insane characters within the show. In this regard, he is actually incredibly similar to that of Ice King, minus the whole cursed crown kind of deal. However, much like Ice King, small fragments of who he once was would actually ooze out every now and again. A good example of this would be in the episode Sons of Mars. After seeing Finn in distress over the idea that Jake might die, he looks over to a picture at Margles and tries to help Finn to the best of his ability, even going through physical pain in order to do so. This definitely shows that deep down past all the madness, he actually is a good person at heart. Though moments like this rarely last long, as he immediately goes back to how he was before, which is just gibbering madness. Unfortunately for his reputation, his time as Magic Man would have him do absolutely terrible things to various individuals. rituals, such as transforming people into literal living organs, or flat out transforming or mutilating their bodies just for the fun of it. However, this would eventually come to an end, as after attempting to obtain the powers of Glob, he would be permanently stripped of his magical abilities, giving them all to Betty after Finn stopped a ritual. He would also be stripped of his madness and sadness, which would allow him to finally go back to the way he was prior to losing his mind. After regaining his mind, one of the first things he actually tries to do is to make up with his brother and to somewhat atone for all the craziness that he had been doing during his time as Magic Man. I go in greater detail in the Glob video, but I'll give you a quick summary here. Magic Man attempts to take Glob back to Mars, however, Glob decides that he will become King Man instead. This results in Magic Man becoming the new ruler of Mars and slowly regaining the trust of his people after all the nonsense that he had done during his time as Magic Man. Later down the line, he would actually take great pity on Betty and would attempt to actually save her from the same madness that plagued his own mind. This would not work out, as Betty manages to convince Magic Man, or at this time King Man, to summon Golb so that he may get a chance to save Margles, which obviously was not a possibility. Regardless, he would do everything within his power to stop the ritual after he realized his mistake. Anyway, that's all I've got for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, go down on my social media platforms, and if you have an idea for a video, be sure to put it down in the comments below. Production has been an absolute nightmare for a good amount of these videos lately, so I'm gonna have to start cutting out the speculation section on some of these longer videos. But that doesn't mean I won't go over anything as well as specific speculations in their own video. So as always, I will see you in the next video. Bye!